Hey folks, welcome back to another Farming Simulator 25 video, and today we're going to talk about the Plains and Prairies DLC and Ford coming to Farming Simulator 25. Everyone's excited about Ford coming to Farming Simulator 25, right? Ford is coming to Farming Simulator 25. Really? Well, it's kind of complicated. I've been looking at this over the last week. One of my friends has been helping me look at this, and I'm going to go through my understanding of this based on the time that two of us have spent looking at it. I'm doing this to try and help inform people. I'm not doing it to upset anyone, to pee in anyone's Cheerios. What I really hope is that this is going to encourage giants, if they watch it, to clarify things, because it is really complicated on the situation with Ford, or not, because actually probably if someone understands this properly, it's really simple. So Ford sold Ford farming equipment to Fiat in 1990, and that is because Ford Motor Company didn't want to be associated with farming. Prior to that, Ford had purchased Sperry, New Holland, and formed Ford New Holland, and that was where we had a lot of, I think, the really cool kit that people are excited about maybe coming to Farming Simulator, and maybe some of even before that, some of the really old Ford stuff. Now, a condition of the sale of what was then Ford New Holland to Fiat was that after a 10-year period, Fiat had to stop using the Ford name, and that was where over time it all became New Holland. So a condition of the sale of Ford New Holland to Fiat was essentially they had no rights to the Ford name. They had a limited period of time where they could use the Ford name, but it was part of a condition of the sale that they had to stop using it. So although they had all of those really, you've got a picture in the background from Farm Sim, a lot of those tractors that we associate with the Ford brand had to be rebranded as something else, and that's where it all became New Holland. And that's where the waters start to get a little bit murky, and they're gonna get murkier, I'm afraid. But I think a lot of the tractors that maybe people are excited about the potential for, the licensing sits, or the IP for the designs sits with New Holland, but they can't be Ford, to spoil what I'm going to get to. But we'll come to that, because we need to talk about the tractors that we're getting. So in 1987, Ford New Holland brought Versatile, and at that point they quickly rebranded the Versatile tractors to Ford branding. So the Versatile badges were shrunk, they were given Ford badges, and they were repainted in Ford colors. And those are the tractors that we are seeing coming into the game, with Ford colors on them. But we're also getting Versatile versions. So in 1987, so before Ford sold off the tractor, the Ford farming equipment, they brought Versatile, and they rebranded those tractors to be Ford tractors. Okay. So remember then, a few years after that, Ford farming equipment was sold off to Fiat. In 1999, Case New Holland was formed, and as part of that deal, Versatile was sold off to Buehler Industries, or Buehler Industries brought Versatile from New Holland, and that was because Case had the Steiger brand, and they were obviously direct competitors. So Versatile, with those Ford branded tractors, was sold to Beulah Industries, and they were then rebranded back to be Versatile. So I think they quite quickly they were repainted, rebranded, and became Versatile again. And remember, at this point, New Holland or Fiat had to stop using the Ford name as well. This is at the point where they couldn't use the Ford branding anymore, so they didn't have any rights to sell Versatile with Ford branded tractors in them. They don't own any of the rights to the Ford licensing. I'm trying to tell a story and set a scene. Hopefully this is making sense. Then in 2007, Rotzelmash acquired 80% of Versatile, then owned by Beulah Industries. So even further away from New Holland and Ford and all that kind of thing. And then in 2024, Versatile was then sold to Basak Traktor, a Turkish brand. And that's the company that currently own Versatile tractors. And that's the company that currently own the IP for the tractors that we're getting in the DLC. So although it's a tractor with a Ford badge on it, it's nothing to do with Ford at this point. And I think a lot of people are quite comfortable with the fact that we're not going to get Ford trucks and Ford cars. But I think it's quite important that this is and you can see it in small text under the 1156, it's a Ford Versatile. And as Versatile was sold off, and in the DLC, we're getting both versions of these. Because as Versatile was sold to Beulah, they were repainted and became Versatile again. And I'm actually really surprised that we're even getting the Ford painted versions of these. It's really complicated is what I'm trying to say. And actually the company that I suspect, and I'm going to come to some conclusions in a moment, but it feels to me like the company that Giants have done a deal with for this DLC is Versatile, or this Turkish tractor manufacturer, not Ford at all. And I feel it's really slightly disingenuous that they're pushing Ford so hard when it feels to me like these are possibly the only Fords that we're going to get in the game, branded as Ford. Now remember, this is my understanding from spending, time through the last week researching this with the help of one of my friends. Neither of us are copyright lawyers or anything like that. So what do I think this means? And I've done a bit of interpretation. I think everyone understands, hopefully at this point, we're not getting Ford pickup trucks. Giants have not done a deal, I don't think, with Ford Motor Company. If they have, awesome, brilliant. Clarify it, Giants. I don't think we're going to be getting things like the Ford 8830, because that's a Ford New Holland tractor, Fiat, Ford, New Holland, Case New Holland tractor. Giants have got a deal with New Holland. We already have Fiat tractors in the game from Giants and from modders, because New Holland can use the Fiat branding. They're not, it would appear, they didn't buy the rights, didn't get the rights to the Ford license. Part of the agreement with the deal when Ford tractor equipment was sold to Fiat was that they only had 10 years where they could use Ford branding, and then they had to stop. And I think that's why, although we're seeing old Fiat tractors from Giants, we're not seeing old Ford tractors. We've seen old New Holland tractors from Giants, but not Ford. And that's why I think this DLC doesn't mean we're going to be seeing old Fords. It doesn't mean we're going to be seeing the older Fords that people want, even older than this one. It does mean we can see Ford Versatiles, because that's what we're getting. We're getting a versatile DLC. Potentially, it means we could see Basak tractors in the game. Are we excited? Small Turkish utility tractors? Anyone? And the reason I've made this video, because it's not clear. I've spent quite a lot of hours trying to research this, and it's still not clear. Giants need to clarify this. They are pushing Ford because there are a few versatile tractors that it appears Versatile are able to provide to Giants with Ford badges on them. And Giants are pushing really hard that means Ford is coming to the game. And I don't think that means that the Ford that everyone thinks is coming to the game. I really hope I'm wrong. I really, really hope I am wrong. I want to be wrong. I'm not making this video to go, oh, look, everyone, we're not going to get what we want. I think that's the situation, but I hope I'm wrong. Giants, please clarify this. Yeah. I want to be wrong in this video. I really do. Please share this video so people see and are informed. I'm sure you're going to have comments on this video because you probably think I'm wrong. I really hope I am wrong. I really do. I really want to see old Fords in the game on all platforms. I know we can have them on PC, but what I want to see is them properly licensed in the game so we attract good modders to make them for all platforms. And I don't think this DLC allows it. I think it allows that bottom left-hand corner. I think it allows Ford Versatile, which is completely different to what Giants are pushing. Now, I'm not saying that it's really bad if we end up with another random brand of utility tractor in the game. They might be your favorite brand. If they are, awesome. But what Giants are pushing is Ford as the headline. And that's not what we're getting. I don't think. I will caveat that. It could be completely wrong. I really, really hope that within, before release of the DLC or soon after release of the DLC, Giants release a statement which completely clarifies the licensing position of the Ford brand in the game on console and PC. Because at the moment they're not. And they're just going, look, Ford. And Ford licensing is stupidly complicated because Ford have owned many brands of tractor manufacturer and sold them, and then they've split, and there have been conditions and clauses around the use of the name and how those have then filtered through. All of that is really complicated, and the deal's been done with the people that have the license for this, and how that plays through to everything else is really complicated, and Giants need to make a statement on it to know if we get this guy or derivatives thereof, or old Fords, or all of the other things that people want. And the thing that Giants are implying is allowed and being really vague about. That's it. And, that's the video. I hope this is informative. I hope I'm wrong. I'm going to say it again. I hope I'm wrong. See you.